Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel for another video on Le Mans Ultimate. We're back at Sebring for some multi-class action in GT3 versus hypercars as well. This is going to be a crazy race. We went into this race with the unknown of not really knowing how many laps it was going to be and not too sure on the fuel, so it made it quite entertaining. Now if you do enjoy this video, get subscribed to the Key 25 on YouTube, hit that like button. It does help the video out, it helps the channel out, so I'm very grateful if you do that. Let's get into this and watch some racing at Sebring. Okay everyone, we're joining the race. You can see there we managed to qualify P3, and for the first 10-15 seconds of this we are using the replay footage. It's just that the replay file must have cut short by about 15-20 seconds, so it's going to go straight to the actual live footage in a moment. But yeah, we're starting from P3. We're going to try and get a clean start. It's always the unknown in these multi-class races, because if there's a hypercar crash, it normally leaks through down into the GT3s and absolute chaos will ensue. So you can see there we've got the proper gameplay footage on now. Now going into turn one, it's all very civilized, and what you'll find on Le Mans Ultimate is you either have a really clean start with everyone just driving really respectful, or all hell breaks loose. It's very often one or the other, and in this one we are lucky because it is completely clean. It looks like there is a little bit of stuff going on with some of the hypercars. There's a car off on the track to the left there, but overall one car off the track from 38 cars is pretty good at a track with quite a narrow start to the lap at Sebring. It's really tight, narrow. There's not really much space for cars, and the fact that we all got through this so far cleanly really is a credit to the drivers in this race. So good clean start. We're following the McLaren. We've got the McLaren obviously in front of us, and then the Mercedes just ahead of that in the lead, and we've got another Mercedes behind us. So we are in the Lamborghini for this race, so decided to take the Lamborghini. I am going to be driving the Lamborghini in the championship races this season, so using the Lambo in some of these races just to get used to it, and really do enjoy driving this Lamborghini around this track, as we've got an Aston Martin hypercar that seems to have lost control, nearly wiping out the top two and actually nearly colliding with myself and the Mercedes behind us. So I'm not sure if that was a bit of a bad rejoin, but either way we all managed to get through that unscathed and still in the race. So yeah, this race, it was going to go around 20 laps according to my calculations. I predicted it was going to go 20 laps, so we'd fueled enough. We'd actually put around 21 in, but it had obviously reduced and it was showing under 21, so around 20.3, 20.4. And yeah, you can see there's a hypercar obviously spun at the start going back through. So yeah, a bit of an unknown in this one. It was our first attempt at it, not too sure what to expect in the race, and at the moment things are going quite nicely. We're in P3, first lap really clean, not too sure about the fuel, but yeah, we're pushing at this stage, trying to get used to the combo, just trying to slowly get that speed. So it is very much, when you're driving a new car, it's going to take a couple of laps just to try and bed in and get used to how it drives. We're also probably not running optimal settings for this car in terms of the TC. We had it a bit safe to just try and make sure that we keep it on the track. So then McLaren in front of us there, you can see, has a big moment on the rear as we're on lap 2 now. Slightly lost the rear, loses a bit of traction. That gives us a bit of momentum to get a little bit closer to the McLaren now, and it is absolutely great seeing these cars, these modern day GT3s all in a race together. I do love that about LMU, all the correct cars racing on the track. It really does feel so authentic when you're in these races. The immersion level is so high on the Mans Ultimate. And again, we're going to skip to lap 4. You can see at this stage we're managing to hold pace. I was pretty happy with our pace during this stage of the race. We're holding pace, we're keeping reasonable lap times, and on this lap we're starting to pick up a bit of pace now. You can see we're heading into the 203s. Really, I'm pretty sure we were in the 202s with the BMW in race pace and 201s in qualifying, as a hypercar coming through there now. So we're having to be a little bit aware of this every now and then. You've got the backmarker hypercars that have obviously spun, maybe picked up damage, had to pit, and now they're coming back through the field. So just got to keep your eyes open for when they do come through, because they are obviously a lot quicker than the GT3s. But this track is very narrow, so you just got to rely on them being very cautious with the way they overtake, because obviously on Le Mans Ultimate it is the duty of the hypercar to make the safe pass. The GT3s stick to the racing line, and when safe the hypercars are supposed to make the move. However, that is not always how it's going to go in terms of multi-class racing. So you can see Mercedes up ahead there seems to have dropping back and we're actually gaining a bit here now. So if you look at the delta, we're only 1.6 seconds away from that Mercedes, and we're definitely starting to push onto that McLaren a little bit now. And yeah, at the moment things are looking pretty good. We're getting used to the car, we're pushing, we're getting the hang of it, we're picking up pace, and this wasn't even a perfect lap, and we're going to be well into the 203s on this one. So braking a little bit later into this final corner, letting the gears rotate it through, and then trying to get on that throttle as early as we can to get that exit speed. Now you can see at this stage we've got just over 16 laps of virtual energy and just under 16 laps of fuel. So we've got about the fuel to make it for 20 laps in this race, but you can see in the top right it is starting to edge up a little bit closer to 21 laps. And now at this stage I was convinced still that it was going to go 20 laps, because I was thinking there's no way, it's a 40-minute race, it's over a 2-minute lap. But what you need to remember is it's very much dependent on the hypercar's pace. The fastest car in your race, whatever group that is, it's dependent on their laps in relative to where you are on the track, whether it's going to go 20 or 21 for you. So it is a possibility, you can obviously go 21. So yeah, at the stage though I wasn't really aware of that, and you can see I'm still going very aggressive because I'm zoned in, I'm pushing, I'm starting to gain on my previous deltas. We're actually getting a little bit held up in some situations, I feel like, having to be a little bit cautious on the throttle and brakes and stuff, because we're starting to get really, really close to this McLaren now, and we obviously don't want to go straight into the back of him. Now at lap 7 here, you can see that it said 21 laps, and this is where I've started to panic now, because I thought, hang on a minute here, if this is going to go 21 laps, we are going to have to do a bit of fuel saving in this, because we're not going to make 21 laps. This is on ×1 fuel, so to save yourself 1 lap of fuel is very, very difficult. If it's on a multiplier of ×2 and you're only 1 lap short, normally you can get that a little bit easier because it's like half the amount you need to save. But in this, it's on ×1. So you can see what we're going to start doing now is into some of the braking zones. We're going to lift off a little bit early, just let the car coast in, and then brake a little bit more progressive and just try and stay with these. So this is going to be really difficult at this phase of the race, because I've got to save fuel and I'm trying to hold on to the position that I'm in. We've still got P4 not too far behind us, but we don't want to lose contact with the 2 cars in front. And it was quite frustrating at this stage, because when I was pushing, we were catching them up and we were getting into a rhythm. Now we've got to change our driving style, start coasting into some of these corners and short shifting. You'll see I'm not revving it out as much. I'm just being a little bit more cautious with that shifting into like the higher gears, early shifts out of corners and stuff, just being generally a little bit safer in terms of the fuel. And this hopefully will enable us to stay with them cars in front of us. We've got a hypercar coming through there, that's a lead hypercar weaving in and out. We've got P2 there going down our left, just trying to give him space there. And now we're just going to hope that there's no chaos here. As you can see, the hypercar's going to go for that move a little bit. I feel like he should have waited there for the straight. Obviously he's in a fight as well, but he's actually upset the McLaren there a little bit, and now we are back into that slipstream. So for me, it's helpful. It gives me the slipstream back, and it means I can get back into the lift and coast. And now we've got another hypercar coming through. So again, what we're going to do there is lift off early. He sends it down the inside. I knew he was going to do that. So lifted off the throttle, save a bit of fuel. And during this phase, the aim was save some fuel while these hypercars are coming through, because if we get lucky, we can save fuel and they can hold up the leaders, and I can just hang on to the back of them and try and get the fuel under control. So that was the aim of what we're doing here. So you can see a lot into these corners, coasting in, just letting the car coast through the corner, short shifting on the exit, and then praying that these hypercars are going to just slow them lead 2 drivers down a little bit. And at the moment it's working. You can see the McLaren is still right in front of us. We've not lost too much ground to this McLaren, and you can see up ahead the Mercedes as well. So lost a little bit of time there as we've got a hypercar going down our left. And it really is a different form of driving when you're doing these multi-class races. It's so enjoyable because you're focused on your battle, you're fuel saving, you've got cars coming from behind you. There's so much to be aware of, and it really is fun to learn these skills that you need for this kind of game. And I have to say, I've really thoroughly enjoyed Le Mans Ultimate to a degree that I really didn't think I would. It's just on another level for me in terms of immersion. Absolutely love this game at the moment. I definitely recommend anyone who hasn't got Le Mans Ultimate yet, if you've never played it, if you've got a PC that can play it, you need to get this game and give it a go, because it's just so enjoyable to play. As we see the 2 hypercars there going down the inside there, gave them the space. Now they're going to go off and push on in front of us, and you can see we've started to lose a little bit of ground here as the hypercars are still coming through. And again, it's working out quite nice for me, because I'm actually getting caught in places where I can either lift and coast to let them through and save a bit of fuel, or on a straight, and they're catching some of the other GT3s in front of me in places that are going to end up holding them up. So you can see here, the lead GT3 has actually been held up quite a bit there, and this is all helping me out. You can see I'm getting a little bit closer again, and I'm saving that fuel. If you can see in the bottom right there, we are starting to get that fuel a little bit more under control here. However, there is still a little bit of a gap, but we are holding a gap to P4. You can see there the Mercedes behind us, over 4 seconds behind. So trying to make sure that we can at least get a podium out of this race if it does go them 21 laps. And at the moment, it's looking like it's going to go 21 laps. Now, I was convinced that there's no way it could on my calculations at the start of the race, but you can easily be wrong with your calculations. As we're seeing right now, it says 21 laps in that top right hand corner. So we are going to have to carry on with this lift and coast. This short shifting on the exits, you can see there, third gear very early. It will help a little bit with the tyres as well, because you're not pushing that maximum power on the exit. Just short shifting it slightly will help a little bit with the tyre temperatures and the tyre wear, although the tyre temperatures aren't that much of an issue because we're now going into the night time at Sebring. So this race goes from the late evening into the night time, and another, yeah, looks absolutely amazing. I have to say that it's a bit like Gran Turismo. When you get the settings like this, the game just looks amazing when you're playing it. It really does look really good, considering all the physics that are on show in this game as well. So yeah, a lot of effort in the visuals, a lot of effort in the physics on this, and that's why I think everyone should give this game a go if you haven't already. So yeah, a lot of fun as the two hypercars in front of us there going for a move, and you can see one got through, one held up a little bit there behind the GT3s. One's going around the outside there now. You see we weaving right in between the gap, and again we're getting caught in the right place because where the hypercar goes past us, it's on the straight again. This is all helping us out. You can see I'm able to save a lot of fuel in 6th gear there, just save at this phase, because I was getting a little bit worried that we were going to be struggling at the end when this goes 21 laps. But at the moment we are saving enough to stay with this group in front of us, and you can see a lot of action all the time. Even though there's not action in terms of your race, we're remaining around 7 tenths, 1.5 behind the cars in front, but there's always hypercars coming through, and it's the unknown of them hypercars that really does make these races super intense. So you can see at this phase now, to the leader in our group in the GT3s, we're only 1.6 behind, which we was pretty much at the start as well. So this phase has really helped us out in a way, because we've managed to save fuel and we've managed to stay pretty much the same distance from P1 and P2, and we've got more hypercars coming through now. So we're going to let that one go down the inside there, a little bit of lifting coast into the braking zones, and then we've got another one coming behind us. Now, one advantage you have in the GT3s, and one advantage you need to be careful of, is you can brake a little bit later than some of these other cars because they don't have the ABS. So a little bit of lifting coast there as we go into this braking zone, as one of the hypercars has gone off there. Looks like they've locked up and had an incident in that braking zone. But yeah, you're able to brake pretty much the same, or if a little bit later sometimes, into some of the braking zones, so you can carry that speed into the areas of braking. But then obviously on the straights, they're just going to fly off into the distance, them hypercars. But yeah, luckily so far, the hypercar that made the mistake there didn't collect any of the GT3s. We've got another hypercar right behind us, thankfully being quite sensible there, not going for a move up the inside. And you can see at the moment we've managed to get our virtual energy a little bit better now. We're verging on having the right amount of laps to finish this race if it goes 21 laps. So we're getting close. Just a little bit more of this, and then we'll just have to keep an eye on it, doing a little bit of fuel saving, a little bit of short shifting for the remainder of the race. It's not the ideal way you want to race a race, but it's my fault for not putting enough fuel in at the start. We could have put more in and we wouldn't be in this situation, but I wasn't aware of how many laps this would go. So yeah, I took a calculation, and at this stage it looks like I might have got that calculation slightly wrong. So into 4th gear on the exit now, and again we're going to skip to lap 12. We've got another hypercar coming through there, and we're just trying to be cautious. Luckily, again, we're getting caught in the right places, and some of multi-class racing is just luck. It is just a factor of luck of where cars catch you up. As you can see, that hypercar right behind the McLaren there looks very impatient, squeezing through the inside. And then we look into the distance there, he's gone for a bit of a silly send on the lead Mercedes driver, and that really frustrates me. He didn't need to do that. He could have just waited patiently. He's a back marker. He's not even fighting. He's been lapped, I think. So why not wait and then just out-accelerate them on the straight? Now, this has obviously upset the Mercedes in front of us, because you're in the lead, you've just been pushed out the way, and he goes for a bit of a move, and I think he kind of retaliates and ends up taking out the wrong car there, because you see he sends it, and he actually sends it on the McLaren, and unfortunately for the McLaren has been wiped out that race. But fortunately for myself, I'm up to P1. However, we are still in a bit of a fuel situation here. But yeah, I think the Mercedes there will regret that move. He went for a bit of an optimistic move, didn't give the McLaren any space, ran him off the track, and I wouldn't be surprised if the McLaren reports that, because it was a bit out of order. I don't think the McLaren was at fault for any of that situation at the start there. It was a hypercar. So skipping a little bit further on to lap 13 now, and you can see I get a bit of a bad exit because I tried to go into third gear early there to save fuel, and it just triggers a bit of understeer, and then the understeer runs us wide. We get a bad exit because we've had to go over the grass, and now the Mercedes has got the run on us. He's going to go for the move, so I just decide there's not much we can do. We'll just actually coast, save a bit of fuel, tuck underneath him, and actually try and save ourselves some fuel, because at this point we're still in a bit of a fuel problem, and I don't think we could have held on anyway with the fact that we've got to do a bit of lift and coast. So back down into P2, and you can see we're going into the night phase more so now. It's getting a little bit darker again. Visually absolutely amazing, this game. And then we're going to try and hang with him, really. Bit of fuel saving, focus on the rear of that car, save a bit of fuel, and see if we can make it if it goes to 21 laps. Now as we come out of here, you're going to see we're trying to stick as much to him as possible. I take a little bit of a wrong line there, get a little bit off line with the curb, run a little bit wide again there, and then we're going to try and coast into this corner to save a bit of fuel. Now what I do wrong here is I think I brake a little bit late for the coasting. So you can see I lift off quite late and then realise very late that I'm not going to make that corner, so I have to take avoidance action and take route to the escape route down the left here. And this is going to lose me a big chunk of time, nearly 4 seconds, as we come out with the battle for P3 and 4. Now we're side by side with P3. We will have slightly better exit speed because we took the escape route, and now we're going to try and hang it round the outside of this right hand corner. So we're now battling for that podium position. You can see here, taking that line, just about holding on to P2. We've got 2 GT3s behind us, a hypercar involved also. This is some crazy racing going on here. Now, again, the Mercedes has a little look up the inside. We give him the space, but the great thing about the outside line is you can then get on the power a little bit earlier, and we've managed to hold on for P2 so far in this race. But a very intense moment there, really enjoyable, but not so enjoyable that we made the mistake that put ourselves in that situation. But you can see we're still showing as 21 laps remaining in this race, so this is going to be very interesting if we can manage to hold on while we're in P2 with doing some fuel saving and trying to coast it into some of these corners. Now we've got the Mercedes behind us that is going to be quick on the straights, but the Lamborghini, I think, in some of these corners is a little bit better. But you can see the hypercar behind us there getting super aggressive, and then I don't think the Mercedes saw that happening, wasn't aware on his left hand side, and just completely cut off the other GT3, and has actually just wiped out one of the contenders for the podium. So a little bit unfortunate that for the driver going down the inside, but again, it means one less car attacking us. But again, we don't get the best exit off that curb there, and this Mercedes is going to have a little look up the inside. We're going to just take a defensive line here. We don't want to give this position up, so hold a very, very narrow line through this final corner. Use second gear to hold it to the apex, and then get on the power. We've also got a hypercar. While we're trying to defend this, we've got a hypercar coming through, so he's going to go past on the straight. Luckily for us, that's not going to hold us up into the braking zone. And yeah, absolute, you really do need to be aware in all situations in this. You're trying to defend. We've got another hypercar coming through again, the Aston Martin there going down the inside. We give him the space, and luckily for us, we've held on to this P2 in this situation. Now the problem we've got here, the mistake that where we missed the brakes and we had to take that escape route, has lost us a big chunk of time to the leader. But one great thing is we don't get a penalty for taking that route. There is other games out there that do give penalties for that situation, even though you've just lost 4 seconds. On Le Mans Ultimate, it understands that you've lost time and you don't get any sort of penalty. So at this stage, you can see there that the laps has just reduced. It's now showing 20 laps. So my original calculation looks like it might have actually been correct. So maybe I was doing pointless fuel saving. So I decided, you know what? I think it's going to go 20 laps. I think it was just showing some false information. So we're going to start pushing now. And you can see as we come to the last lap here, lap 20, it's now showing 20 laps. we managed to push and give ourselves a decent gap, and we actually managed to get the gap down to 4.2 seconds to the leader. So annoyingly, if we weren't fuel saving and we were just driving it flat out from the start, we would have been able to do that, and I think we would have definitely been able to fight for the win. But yeah, it's been quite an interesting race. We've managed to stay in P2 even though we were fuel saving when we didn't need to. Sometimes the calculation gets a little bit ahead of itself, and also it obviously depends on the hyperdrive. If the hyperdriver's made a mistake somewhere, or not been as fast, or even gone faster, and then doesn't trigger that extra lap because of the way that they go past you and the finishing line, it can work either way. So you just got to always be factoring in that it can go that extra lap. So in a way, doing the fuel saving was the right thing, just in case it did. But it turns out that we could have gone more aggressive from the start. I think in future races there, I would have just put that extra bit of fuel in from the start so I could just go 100% aggressive. But yeah, that was the unknown. Thoroughly enjoyable race, so I hope you enjoyed it. Get subscribed if you haven't already done so, and hit that like button. Take care, everyone.